for International Nurses Day, I just wanted to ask you about your work with what you call NREG. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, lovely. Happy to, Claire, and great for International Nurses Day to be talking about. So NREG stands for Nursing Research and Evaluation Group, and it's basically a group that we set up approximately 3 years ago. So it was sort of just before the pandemic hit. And the idea is, it was part of, I had been given some funding from the NIHR, which was around improving the capacity and capability for research among nurses. So the idea with that was that the individual, so the person given the funding, stayed within their organisation and looked at how we could get more nurses, basically more nurses from all backgrounds, so mainly clinical nurses, how we could get more nurses involved in research, knowing about research, perhaps if they were interested, starting up their own projects, and basically raising the profile for research among nurses. So we set up the NREG, the Nursing Research and Evaluation Group, and sort of 3 years on now, it's evolved into a kind of core group of nurses who meet regularly to talk about anything to do with research, really. So we've had a session on, so we've had a variety of things really, where we've brought in a speaker to talk about something specifically. So we had a session about critical appraisal. So one of the sort of basic skills, I guess, that you want to give to a nurse, particularly a nurse working clinically, is how you look at the evidence and how you critically appraise that, how you look at the evidence, let's say a publication in Nursing Times, and how you look at a project, at a study that's been done, and how you work out, is that relevant? Is that useful? Was it conducted appropriately? So how you critically appraise somebody else's work, really. So that's a very sort of basic skill, really, that we want all of our nurses to have, because then rather than simply relying on something, a headline, let's say, that they've heard on the news about, oh, I don't know, if you eat 2 oranges a day, you don't get depressed. You know, you hear this stuff the whole time. So we want to give nurses the skills to be able to question things a bit more and to look at the evidence and understand it and see how it's relevant to their own jobs. So yeah, that was one of the sessions that we did. So obviously during the pandemic, we've had to adjust quite a lot with how we're working. So the group at the moment, like I say, it's a core group of us who meet quite regularly, about every 6 weeks. But in more recent sort of groups, we've started this drop-in session. So rather than saying we're meeting on Wednesday morning from 10 until 12, clinical nurses are really stretched. They're really, really busy. Just being able to commit in your head, never mind your practical time, it just wasn't possible really for people. So we started up this drop-in session. So for people, I said to people, come along if you're able to. Just call in and say hello if that's all you want. It's a supportive environment. There's no questions. There's no you have to produce this report. Come along, talk to some other nurses, and that has actually generated a number of people who've come along saying, I'm doing this project, or I'd like to do this project, and we've been able to help them develop their own projects. So